Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable Coach podcast. I'm your host, Michael Pacheco, and today with me I have Bryan McDonald. Bryan is a partner at On Purpose Growth, which is a coaching and consulting firm around all things sales. He serves entrepreneurs and experts who have developed an expertise in corporate America and now use that skill to serve small and medium-sized businesses. Bryan, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. It's awesome to be here. I'm excited to sit here and chat and talk and see where this goes.
That's great, man. I like to usually open these podcasts with just kind of a little bit of an introduction. So maybe just tell us a little bit about yourself, a little more about what you do and how you got into this kind of coaching thing that you're doing.
Yeah. So, I think I've had entrepreneurship in my blood, my whole life. My grandfather strived to be an entrepreneur. My mom tried to put herself in a situation with an entrepreneur. And, I'm originally from Pennsylvania, living in Chicago now. And when I graduated from Penn State, I got a corporate job and I realized quickly just wasn't the place for me. I was telling somebody earlier today, it's like and I've been in sales, new revenue growth my whole career. So, when I had this job after I was there for a year, on my year anniversary, they gave me a raise on a Monday and I quit on Friday because the money wasn't worth it. Right. And then I quickly went into situations where companies would bring me in. They would say, hey, here's what we do. Here's how we think we're unique. There's a desk and there's a phone and my office is over there. If you need help, let me know. Right. So I had to go, figure out how to bring in new revenue all the time. So I not only, I struggled, right. 2 years out of college, to find my way, but I was always leaning on people who had success and had the things that I wanted. I learned from them. And I always figured out how to wedge myself in a marketplace to be different and not better than the competition. And, along the way, I did a lot of, referral business. I would meet people, build relationships, get introductions into businesses. And, I just always fascinated with sales. And around, I met my partner, Jeff, like 2012, 2013, somewhere around then. And he had talked to me about starting On Purpose Growth. And around that same time, I had somebody that had come to me that I've known. He was a banker and he said, hey, I love your approach to sales. I want to leave banking. I'm making money, but I'm not happy. I want to go into the equity markets. I want you to help me make that switch. And he was my first official client. He said, hey, I'll pay you $50 a session. Meet me every Monday for lunch. Teach me everything that you know. And after, within 6 months, actually, he was top 3 in every metric that they kept. And he was on his path to make $500,000. And, about 3 months ago, he called me up and said, hey, did you hear the news? And he had worked himself from working at a company called Invesco to working at a financial planning firm, negotiated partnership in that business, or piece of that business. And he had called me up because they had just been bought by the largest financial planning firm in the US. And overnight, he became a multimillionaire from that transaction. He's like, hey, I appreciate it. You hear the news? I was like, yeah, I heard, man. So it's just cool to see him from, hey, I hate what I do to, oh my God, I'm worth a lot of money. So he was my first client. And after that, I quickly made the jump with my partner, Jeff. I was working my way on through a partnership or buying it, and I'm generating enough business to be a partner in an insurance brokerage. I gave it all back and I said, I'm going to jump into On Purpose Growth with Jeff. And it's been awesome ever since. So, early on, I discovered that really who I liked working with and who I created results with were those experts that you were explaining, people who are super smart, outsource CFOs, fractional COOs, fractional HR people, management consultants are people that I work really well with. They're highly intelligent, and the thing that makes them great, their expertise, is actually the thing that gets in the way of them growing their business. So I just help them, go from expert to entrepreneur in sales, and it's fun. It's, I've helped people, double, triple their revenue, break the 7-figure mark. So it's fun along the way, man.
So you mentioned that your ideal client is someone who's highly intelligent, former corporate. Do you find that it's more difficult working with people who are highly intelligent? I know in my experience with some of our clients and coaches that I've worked with, it can be, the more intelligent someone is, the more they can kind of see through sometimes the coaching tricks,
Oh,
psychological
yeah.
tweaks, the mindset tweaks, that kind of thing. Where did you
You
think I
know,
was going with
that's
that?
no. That was great. It was great. I love that term, the coaching tricks. Because it made me think back, like, of all these people, and I think, I've learned to drink my own Kool-Aid,
Huh?
and I've learned that there are certain qualities of a good client. Being highly intelligent is one of those things. There's people who, they don't allow their ego to get in the way, and I classify, like, sometimes ego and intelligence think they're the same thing, right? I call them humble and hungry. So when I meet somebody who's humble and hungry, like, yeah, I'm smart, but I know I don't know this side of the business. Like, I can talk about this, but I'm not sure about the sales thing.
Yeah.
uh, those are the people that I've learned to partner with, and the others figure out ways to decline or say, "Hey, I'm not." The better job I do that on the front end, the more authentic I can be. Like, for a client, Matt, and if he was on here, he'd tell you this. There's times where he's a continuous improvement, Lean Six Sigma consultant, and he's an engineer. He's an industrial engineer. There's times where I'm talking to him, I'm saying, okay, am I talking to entrepreneur Matt or am I talking to engineer Matt? Because if I'm talking to engineer Matt, we need to put him aside right now because he's not helping. Yeah, put him aside. So, I've learned to just, like, when I get the humble and hungry and people, and I just talk to them straight, right, and challenge them in a healthy way, we make progress. I'd like to say that I figured out a way to turn the egoics, highly intelligent people away at the beginning, because it's created havoc in my business. We just don't create results. We create conflict, and it's unhealthy conflict.
Interesting. So you don't, well, let me ask you this. Your first client went
Yeah.
from being miserable and not liking his job to becoming a multimillionaire. Where do you go from there? Like you, Bryan McDonald, where do you, like, that probably energized you, right? And made you excited to try again. But how was, like, the client number 2, 3, 4, and 5? If you had so much success with one, where did you go from there?
You know, so actually, he's kind of an outlier, because he's what I would classify as a salesperson. Your stereotypical salesperson. And when we started On Purpose Growth and the coaching part of the business, we learned quickly our approach and our how we operate, and it doesn't work well with salespeople. They can only use 60% of what we do. What I need to do is I need to focus on just the entrepreneur, the consultant, because they can learn sales, but they also have to learn how to make material changes in the business, like change their offer, change their sales process, where salespeople can't. I think when I hear your question, the thing I think of is that was the first place where we went. And now it's discovering, how do I turn 1,000 people into millionaires, right? 1,000 entrepreneurs into millionaires. Because if I do that, then I'm by default going to be successful, right? I'm a big believer in I think it was Zig Ziglar, help enough people get what they want, you'll get what you want. When you approach that saying or that philosophy in the right way, you win, right? There's a negative way to approach that, taking advantage of people to get what you want. So I think that's what it is that's a great question. I actually never thought about that. how do I get 1,000 people to be multimillionaires? I've helped some people become a millionaire, but how do we get 1,000 multimillionaires? And that would be phenomenal.
So, okay, cool. So what is on purpose growth? Are you guys scaling? Are you working like with group coaching right now, or do you work primarily with one-to-one coaching? Are you doing maybe a blend of both?
Yeah, I'm doing, I would say it's like three separate.
Mm-hmm.
I try focus on doing as much group coaching as possible, where we do kind of ongoing group coaching. It's month to month ongoing. Then I've got smaller spurts of, I'll call it products or programs where, hey, you want to come in the door, you really don't know who I am, so you just want to, do the sales strategy part where it's 7 or 8 weeks. But that's the other version of our group coaching. And then I do one-to-one. I'm working hard not to do as much one-to-one, only because it's backward. People think it's backwards, but people get more out of the group coaching than they do out of the one-on-one. They accelerate faster because they can look around the room and say, hey, I'm not the only one that has this problem. I can learn off this other person. Bryan's not the man on the ivory post that has all knowing and all doing and is the master. He's here to guide us, but I can lean into these other people and learn off of them. And by default, some of this group coaching, it turns into referral networks for people. So these people can refer each other into businesses. It's been a great dynamic. And it takes less energy to do group coaching.
It's scalable.
It's scalable. Yeah. And it's funny. It's a group of 10 people takes less energy for me than it does to work with one person one-on-one. You would think in your mind, like, how does that work? But I don't know if you do it, but it's energizing to me.
Yeah, we don't do that at Boxer. I don't do that myself, but I've had coaches. I've had one-on-one coaches, and I've had group kind of coaching environments, right?
Yeah.
And I think a blend of both works best for me. I suppose maybe it's like every person's chemistry is a little bit different. Everybody learns a little bit different. For me, I think a blend of both. I know for me with a group coaching environment, it's a huge asset to have the other people to lean on and to kind of, if you're able to be vulnerable with them, they can be vulnerable with you. And it's a little bit of validation that I'm not the only one who's screwed up in this way.
Yeah. Well, and too, 100%, right? It's, you validate that you're not on an island. And that is empowering. And the other thing too is, and I explain this to people, is when you're in a group with people that have the same issues, it's helpful. When you're going through an issue, you're so emotionally involved in it, you don't see the path to fix it faster than actually people watching what's going on. They can see how to solve the problem. So when I'm solving one person's problem and then other people have it, the other people actually at times get more out of it because they can rationally walk through it where they're not emotionally involved, right? I put myself in group coaching environments. I do some like men's group work and things like that. And I enjoy that because I learn a lot from the other shares because I don't have the crap going on with me that's getting in the way. I can see the path and I can make adjustments faster. So I love group situations. I think it's phenomenal.
Yeah. The way that you're really anyone in the group, I mean, like you said, when you're able to solve this guy's problem and this guy over here sees what's happening there and is able to draw parallels over into his own situation and maybe resolve an issue that he didn't know he had until this guy had shared, like, what about this? And this, little light goes on over his head. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I've had that situation personally where I'm the coachee. I'm the one being coached.
Yeah.
And I'm in a group where I have what you just described. It's like, it's great. I love watching other people being coached because I'm going to discover a problem and a resolution to something I didn't know existed.
To a problem you didn't know you had.
Exactly. It's been great.
Yeah, that's very cool. So what is it specifically? You mentioned, early on, you just really love sales. What is it specifically about sales that you're so passionate about?
I'm very people oriented. So the thing about sales and that I love, and to be clear, I've been in a majority of consultative value based sales. So in that type of sale environment, there's lots of relationship building. There's lots of, being connecting with people, and that's really what I'm drawn to, because there's a lot of transparency, honesty, a lot of just a great communication, and connecting with other people needs to happen for people to be helped. So, and part of this is I'm on a mission to actually change the narrative from selling to actually serving, because I feel that if we had that orientation, more people would get the help that they're looking for, and more progress will be made faster. So,
I've actually got a thing up on my wall here. You can't see it, but it says "Sales is service."
Oh, love it! Yeah, that's just kind of I'll call it the world I live in, right? That's why the transactional based people that want to be in more of a transactional based world, they don't kind of get how I approach things. They don't like it, and I'm actually okay with that, right? Because I'm not trying to help kind of carry that story or that positioning into the world. So, it's one of the ways how I'm different.
I like it. Obviously, I like it.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Ziegler quote that you brought up earlier in the show too, I think is spot on as well, right? If you help enough people get what they want, you're going to be able to get what you want, which is fantastic.
Yeah, I learned that I got a real life experience on how that dynamic shows up, and how you can leverage that. Because in 2008, 2009, as the economy was crashing, I was thinking that like, hey, I believe this. And what I did was I actually used LinkedIn to start a networking group here in Chicago in the western suburbs. I used a LinkedIn group as our home base. And then we did in-person meetings. And in 6 months, the group had 2,500 people in it. Wow. And my very first in-person meeting, 250 people showed up, because as I built the group, I was just telling people, I would meet, my wife thought I was crazy. We just got married, and I would meet 3 new people that I met on LinkedIn locally, Monday through Friday, 3 people every day. And I would tell them, hey, this group is about helping each other first, and then maybe selling something. And I kept planting that vision, and that's what made the group skyrocket. And it really was like, wow, like, this is how that saying lives out in the world. And I was like, how else do I do this in my life? Because this is freaking amazing.
That's great. So can we talk about that a little bit? I would love to talk community building. A lot of the people listening to this podcast are going to be interested in establishing their authority on a given topic or subject, and building a community around that. What are some suggestions, tips, tricks that you might give our listeners on how to effectively build a community? 2,500 people, especially 2,500 engaged people in 6 months.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing to me.
Oh, it was amazing. It still amazes me to this day. Yeah. The first thing that comes to mind is be very clear on the intention and the vision of that community, right? I crossed somebody sometime and they said, a confused mind always says no. And that stuck with me, because if you're not clear about, hey, this is the intention and this is the vision, and cast that vision, you're not going to enroll other people into that vision. Because once you start communicating that clearly, you need to back that up with actions. It's like, make your word and your actions line up. And when I've done any type of community building like this, people would see that from me. Like, for you to build authority, your word and your actions need to line up. Yeah. And that's where authority starts ultimately taking off. So I would, be clear on the intention and vision, have your word and your actions line up. And then the next thing is focus on adding value detached to whatever the outcome is. Meaning,
that's big.
Yeah, right. Like, and I'll be clear about this too, because 50% of the time that lands, and 50% of the time it doesn't. When I say detach from the outcome, I don't mean don't care about the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean is don't hold on to the outcome so tight that you're wrestling with it, because it'll take all your energy and you'll lose your intention, right? Of what to happen. It's funny when I tell a lot of these experts and entrepreneurs, like, hey, let's just go through the sales process and detach from the outcome. Just figure out how to listen to people, because if you're listening, I have a firm belief that people are going to tell you exactly what to offer them. And if you offer them exactly what they want, you're going to be highly relevant and you're going to add value. It's a very simple formula, but people are so worried about making the sale versus the things that actually make the sale.
Versus listening to your customers in the market that are telling you what they want to buy.
It's the most simple tactic. Yet many people, in my opinion, don't actually apply it. They think that they know, right? That they know. And I don't agree that you're not the expert, but I'm saying markets ebb and flow. And you have this general expertise. Have the market tell you what the most relevant things are, and just go give it back to them, right? And feedback loops, right, is a way to listen. And if you've never heard of a feedback loop, go research what it is and understand how to implement that in your business, because it's one of the greatest strategies, tactics, whatever you want to call it, that I've ever come across.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think if I may suggest something, I think the phrase that you may be looking for, that is emotional unattachment. Be emotionally unattached.
Yeah, I'm stealing that from you.
You want to be engaged with the outcome. You want to be a part of it. You go through it, but you have to emotionally disengage from the outcome, because the outcome can change as you move forward. People, like you said, the market, the people you're speaking to will tell you exactly what they want if you listen.
Exactly. Yes. And you ask the right question. Well, if you ask questions based on what they tell you, you're gonna formulate an offer. One way I describe it is you co-create, detach from the outcome, and you can co-create the offer. You can co-create the engagement, and people are going to think, where have you been my whole life?
Yeah. That's great. That's great. I'll give you guys, for those listening and watching on YouTube, a great example of this from my world, from Boxer's world, is that we have a Facebook group, a private Facebook group, a community of coaches where coaches go and kind of collaborate, and we put lessons up there and teach and kind of work together on stuff. And as you apply for entrance into the group, there's a couple of questions, and one of the questions is what's your big hurdle? And so many people say time. Time. And so we have gotten together. I think maybe the big fat slushy rain that we're getting right now, it's not really snow, it's not really sleet, it's not really rain. I wonder if it's landing on the dish.
Could be. Yeah, it could be. It could be. And for clarity, man, just I'm good. I'm patient. So just don't think this is bothering me. So this is like a real life metaphor to entrepreneurship.
There you go. Yeah. So as I was saying, guys, so yes, we've got a Facebook group, and when you go into the group, a lot of the coaches that go in there, and Bryan, maybe you've seen this as well, coaches struggle with time, right? And building, I think with building kind of an infrastructure around them, like building a team around them to help them create time for themselves. So what we did at Boxer is we got together and we're like, how can we help solve this? And we created a product that solved that for our clients. We listened, we paid attention. Right? We didn't go in there and be like, we're going to have this group, and this group is going to do this thing, and it's going to be great, and this is all that's going to happen, and this is how it's going to happen. And with an open mind and listened.
And this is, I'm assuming one thing you experienced is they assessed you as even more of an expert and gave you more of authority because what you were giving to them was so relevant. which is like, it's an amazing dynamic. It's like, hey, I just gave you what you want. And then you assess me as more of an expert. Like, okay, like that works.
Yeah. Yeah. And really all I did was pay attention, just pay attention and listen.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So you hear that, guys? Coaches, consultants, you guys are watching this. Pay attention to the people you're talking to. Listen to what they want. Listen to the words that they use when they tell you what they want. Right? That's important.
Yeah.
So Bryan, you don't know this, but I used to be, I did software engineering at Intel, and I did computer virus research at Network Associates for McAfee with McAfee Virus Scan. So I myself come from a Fortune 500 background, and I am now an entrepreneur. If you were to coach me, what does a typical engagement like that look like? What does that look like if you were to coach me?
That's a great question. So typically what it looks like is people engage us if they have a very specific problem that they're working on, like, hey, I've got, I don't really have a sales strategy. They work with me for 7 or 8 weeks specifically on that. Other people whose problems are, more dynamic, they engage with us on a month-to-month basis, where typically it's through group coaching. We spend 2-hour sessions a month as a group. I put people in relevant groups. So you look around the room and everybody is dealing with my problems, or they look like me. And, and we build their business in iterations. I help them with strategy and process, as well as accountability and moving prospects through the pipeline and closing them, if you will. So, and the way we differentiate ourselves in the marketplace is for the ongoing coaching, we're month to month. Why everybody else says, hey, my offer is pay me $40,000 and it's a year. I just say, hey, it's month to month, and it's my job to add value. And if I'm not, I fix it. If not, we part ways. And, I've got clients that decide every single month for the past 4 or 5 years that they're going to stick around, and it's a great relationship, right?
Love that low churn rate. That's beautiful.
Yeah, right. I think for coaches, I think this is highly relevant for coaches more than bigger businesses, is getting really, really clear on your ideal client profile, because your offer, how you serve them, comes directly out of that. And there's risk there in the beginning, where you're going to, decline some people that you could make money off of because they don't necessarily fit. And that's going to save you time, money, and energy in the long run. And it's getting your business to get enough ideal client profiles in the window. And then it's like, they just keep coming. They just keep coming in, right? You get known for that. When you go narrow, or an ideal client profile is actually the way to go wide, in my mind, is when you focus, you can build momentum faster. It takes longer to get started, but when you focus, you get this momentum where it's like, how do I, it's not if you're going to speed up, is how am I going to speed this up, or how am I going to control this progress? Because then time becomes an issue, right? Because time becomes an issue. It's funny. Yeah.
I love it. So a lot of people will use the term momentum, and what I like to use, I grab this. This is every Sunday I do, I call it a Sunday summit, and I'll kind of go through and out my week, and my intended word for the week, and this is playing off the momentum word, is inertia. Yeah. And momentum becomes inertia, right? When you get first you get traction, then you get momentum, and then I think you get inertia after that, because everything is going in the same direction, and it's hard to make it stop because everything is going well. Well, guys, so I apologize for this again. This is my Starlink. We got some weird hail, some very strange weather happening. You can see in my backyard, it is sunny. But also in that direction is a very, very, very black cloud. So the sun is coming from that direction. But I'm using Starlink satellite internet, which is trying to talk to satellites that are that direction where the black cloud is. And I think that may be a big part of the problem. At any rate, we're back for the moment. For a minute. let's, I don't remember where we left off exactly, but
I forgot too.
Bryan, can you tell us, this is a question I like to ask my guests on this podcast, is what are some of the big failures in your career that you have learned really, really great stuff from? Because I know for me and a lot of people I know, right, failures are huge turning points. They can be catalysts for major growth.
Actually, right before I built that networking group that I was telling you about, I had a huge failure. So I was in the mortgage business. I was focused. I figured out like, hey, and everybody else was selling all residential. I'm going to go after real estate investors. And it was great. I built a great business. I had a business inside a business. I was paying an assistant out of my own commissions, and I was investing in real estate myself, and I didn't learn how to pivot well. And when the market started tanking and you couldn't close those loans anymore, and all these banks were closing, I didn't pivot well, and I went bankrupt. I lost everything. I mean, my this was like 2007, 2008. This piece of the market died before the other parts. It was like the first part to go. So I had just asked my wife to marry me right before this, and she still married me. So I lost everything. And that actually taught me the best lesson of be agile, how to be agile and nimble in the marketplace, and think about more than one way to generate business. Like, don't lean into don't have one lead source, or don't have, put yourself in such a box that I couldn't be agile. And it also helped me learn how to overcome obstacles as an entrepreneur, because I was working on commission, right? So whatever I close is what I made. And I think that was a great lesson, because when problems come up, I've learned how to maneuver through them and not make them the thing that keeps me from getting anything, stopping me. It won't stop me. It's just like, oh, okay, we need to kind of maneuver through this. So I think that was the greatest lessons so far that I've learned. There's been others, but that was the one that sticks out.
That's great. So number one, all of that is awesome. Number two, I want to give you a fist bump for marrying a woman while you're down, dude. That is awesome. My wife married me after my wife started dating me while I was on dialysis.
What?
Yep. Boom.
It's amazing. Yeah. And there is something to say to have a strong woman behind you while you're out there just slaying dragons, because it gets tough. It gets tough, man.
Yep. So kudos to you for finding.
Same to you, man.
Finding the right girl, man. That's so huge. I love that. Awesome. I want to be respectful of your time. I know we're coming up on the hour here. If I could ask you one more question, what recommendations do you have for new coaches, new entrepreneurs, new people coming into the business? What recommendations would you have?
I would say your expertise is your path to make money, but your expertise is not your path to build a business. So understand that, just because you have the ability to coach does not equal the fact that you have the ability to build a business. You kind of like what I was saying before, where I talk to my client, Matt, like, am I talking to engineer Matt or am I talking to entrepreneur Matt? You have to have your coaching personality and you have to have your entrepreneur personality. And I think that is the most important thing, because there's times where you have to shift, right? Like the same way you make decisions as coaching is not the same way you're going to make decisions as an entrepreneur. And think about your coaching system, meaning your business as a system and how all the parts are connected. What got you from where you were to where you're at isn't necessarily going to get you from where you're at to where you want to go. Just submit to the fact that you're going to have to consistently change and mold. And I'm not saying, just be different every day, is develop and mature change. And I think that you'll be able to grow a great business, because if you don't grow a great business, you're not going to be able to do what you really love that gives you fulfillment, is coach and you need the business to make your fulfillment happen.
Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Oh, man.
Bryan McDonald, you have a mailing list with tons of amazing, valuable information for entrepreneurs, and then you'd like to offer our listeners to get on there. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, we put out a newsletter that is actionable items. It's revenue growth thought of the week, action items of the week, and some random relevant material. And then we also have a community of entrepreneurs, whether you're a coach, we've got coaches in there as experts and regular entrepreneurs. You can actually, you can join that list by going to my website, McDonald Bryan, that's my last name, first name, Bryan spelled with a Y, /newsletter. And I'll share that link with you. If you join the newsletter, it'll prompt you to join the community that we have online, where you can ask questions, learn, and be part of the entrepreneur community.
Awesome. You hear that, guys? This is actionable items, not just theory. Go check it out.
Awesome.
Bryan McDonald, thank you so much for joining me. This has been a wonderful, pleasurable conversation. Thank you so much for joining us on here.
Yeah, appreciate your time too, man. And this is a great podcast. So.
And thank you for your patience with all the Starlink and the internet connection issues. Thank you to our listeners and our viewers as well. We will catch you all next time. Cheers.
Cool. Take care.